What is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Game and Compute. Here on this podcast, we talk about finance and the economy and side hustles and income and career jobs. Today I want to talk more about credit score, my credit journey. This isn't financial advice as usual. It's not. It never is. I'm just talking about my experiences personally and kind of the journey I've been on. And so if you were following my content before, I've posted 2 types of content, maybe 2 or 3 times. One was about the extra debit card. Now, I think I was one of the first people I know that got that card far before most other people did. I've barely started seeing it as being something popular that I'm seeing coming up, that people are starting to use now, but I got it way before there was even any content online about it, other than like little bitty clips of people saying that they got it and that they were going to use it and how they got it, but there were really no formal explanations, and I had given my own explanations, and I had posted those explanations, and so I didn't really have anything to really go by other than my own personal experiences then. So I began using that card near Cinco de Mayo of 2021. And then I started using this card called Self. It was from like self.inc. Near May of 2022, I opened that line. It's a CD account. And then near also either May or June of 2022, I opened a Capital One 360 platinum secured card for just $200 limit. And so I can kind of explain kind of what has happened since Cinco de Mayo of 2022 until September of 2022, where we're at now, as I'm recording this. And so if you want to hear the other content, go ahead and go back to the other extra debit. I don't know if I labeled it extra debit card or extra credit card. That's a debit card technically that reports to the credit bureaus, or the self.inc card, which is a CD account. I don't actually have a card, to be honest. I think you have to have a certain amount of payments to be able to get the card, and I just paid off that account. So okay, so starting May, Cinco de Mayo time period of 2022, I started a new phase of my credit journey. So between 2021 and 2022, between those Cinco de Mayo dates, I only had the extra credit debit card. And I'd had some loans that I took out. Like, it's not the best habit. It's not a good habit at all. I wouldn't recommend it. But on occasion, I'll take out loans just to pad my wallet real quick. So just my explanation of why I do that. It's not smart at all. But, I have a car that's just turned 20 years old. In June of 2022, my car just hit 20 years of me driving it. And 20 years old. I've been the only owner. And it's got like 195,000 miles on it right now, I think. Something like that. I think it did have about... Actually, I'm going to need to double check that, because I thought it had 165,000 miles on it. And I don't feel like I drove 30,000 miles in the last few months. So I need to double check that. But it's somewhere between those two numbers. So I basically was, that's the mistake that I was making, doing the whole, like, payday loans, like, installment loans. I do have money in other places, but I can't get it, like, by the next business day. Like, I have to basically do this, like, application and take it out of my, like, retirement, and it's, like, this whole process that, even though it's my money, I keep it packed away so that I don't have access to it. So I actually do have a larger chunk of savings in my investment accounts and things like that, but the time it takes to cash out investments, get them transferred into my bank, all that kind of stuff, like, it would actually make more sense to just keep money in a savings account and just have, like, maybe $4,000 to $5,000 available, which would be more than enough. I don't think I've taken out that much at a time. I think I've taken out maybe about 1,000, maybe 1,500 max. So 3,000 would be very comfortable, in my opinion, for myself, considering that I don't really have a lot of massive expenses or anything like that. My biggest issue really is student loans. They killed my credit. I had other loans that I was using as student loans, and that mostly is what killed my credit. I didn't really have credit cards too much. Like, I had a couple, but they were really low credit lines, and I think one of them got charged off. It was like a $300 card, secured account. I just I was way too overwhelmed to even be, like, handling my finances for about, like, there was like a year that I was really in a massive struggle with that, and I basically just ignored everything for, like, a while. My own fault, I should have been taking better care of my stress and situations, but, I got myself into that on my own, because I made those choices, and, I didn't need my credit score to be fine because the economy wasn't crashed yet, and, rent prices weren't high. I didn't need another car coming up soon. I didn't need to move. I didn't need a credit score to be at a certain, rate. And so I was just like, whatever, it's not really something that I need. And so I was only really tending to the absolute necessities at that time, and not really tending to my future. I was more so just focused on, how am I going to get to tomorrow without, going without some of my basic needs getting met. Like, literally, that's what I was doing for, like, a length of time. And, my finances suffered because of it. And it was a learning experience. I'm not gonna, I know where I went wrong now, but I didn't, it took me a while to take the time to sit back and look and get myself in a more comfortable state of mind so I could actually look at what I was doing and see what options I had and see what choices I had. So near Cinco de Mayo of 2021, that's when I started trying to get things moving, because that's when I started really noticing, hey, I gotta move, and I can't move if my credit is as it is right now. And so I had to make those decisions. So I started having to work on my credit. That's why I got to that extra debit card. And then, yeah, like I said, like, if I was gonna take a trip, like maybe to the mountains or go, like, out of town or something, I would take out a loan, not necessarily to use it. I wasn't necessarily using it as all. I wasn't, like, maxing out the loan and then, like, using all of it. Like, I would take out the max. I'll admit that I had taken out the max loans at those amounts, like I mentioned, and then, paid it down, instead of paying it off, I paid it down, and I wasn't, there was a point where I wasn't tracking those accounts at a certain point, and then eventually I paid all of them. All the ones that were current, I just paid them all off eventually. Sometime like near, I don't know if it was near May of 2021. It was a while back. But yeah, I started just paying stuff off and just knocking off payments, knock it down. And so just between the extra card and those loans I took out and then paid off, my score did start to budge. So I noticed when I opened the extra card, at least from my experience with that card, my score did go up. And I'm trying to look at those details right now. I'm not going to give the exact details of my credit score, but you can tell that it wasn't great, or else I would have had access to better types of cards. I don't remember what it takes to qualify for the extra card, but it wasn't really a lot because my credit score was fairly low. So let me see. I'm gonna try to get to this activity. I'm gonna get to the history. So this is counting, let me see, this year, last year. So this is only counting from September of last year. But I do believe my score in May to June of 2021 rose about 30 points just from opening that card, and then it stayed at about 30-point height for 6 months, which was about the end of the year. It rose again by about 20 points or so, and I think that's because there was a loan that I had paid off, and then it kind of stayed at that point for a while. Because I hadn't really done anything different. It would raise like a point or two up until about June of this year, when I opened those few accounts like I just mentioned. So that the Self.Inc. CD account card, or CD account, basically, it does have a card option, but you have to make the payments. I don't know if it's like 3 payments or 5 payments to get offered the card, but I wasn't there for the card. I was just there to get my credit score up. So basically what I did is I opened a $500 account on Self.Inc. and that was May of 2022. I paid a little over 100 in June, a little over 100 in July, a little bit over 100 in, so let me see, June, July, August. I paid it off in August. And then when you pay it off, they cash you out. So it cashed me out in, in September of this month. So a few days ago I got back $535 because that was the interest. Now that I had a whole year to pay off that $500, I could have paid it back by May of 2023, but I was like, no, let's open it and pay it off in like a 3-month period. That was my goal, because I didn't need to wait for like a year. I'm not sure if the interest would have been higher if I would have waited longer, but again, it was my money. I took my $500, put it in a CD account. It was accruing interest June, July, August, and I paid it off like in basically 3 installments technically. I think the minimum payment would have been like 30 something bucks, or $28 or something like that. It was really low, and I just paid it all off. I was like, I don't need to wait. I didn't want to wait. I'm kind of in a rush with this stuff, so I'm like, I don't want to wait. So when I opened this summer, near May and June of 2022, I opened this Self.Inc. CD account. I opened the Capital One 360 account, platinum secured card for a $200 credit line. Now on that credit line, I've only used, since it's $200, I've used less than 25%. 25% is $50. So I make sure it's under $50. So I've been using about $39 per month with either just an Instacart purchase or something like that. Use it, very first of the month. I used it in June, first of the month. I wanted to pay it down same day. It doesn't let you pay it down same day. Pay it off, same day. It lets you, it posts same day, but it doesn't let you pay it off until maybe a couple days later. I'd say half a week to maybe 5 business days or so. It lets you pay it off. So I have to wait a little bit, and I have to remember to do it. So I made a point to check every day after I spend on that card can I pay it off? Is it gonna let me pay it off? And so let me see. So I've used less than $50 a month. So that's June, July, August, September. I've used it 4 times total, and I've paid it off all 4 times and have a 0 balance on it right now of what's due. There's nothing due at the moment. So my score did dip near June. I believe the reasons why were probably 3 reasons. These are my opinions. I'm not 100% sure, but these are my opinions. I opened the Capital One 360 Platinum secured $200 credit line. That's one reason. Second reason, I opened the Self.Inc. CD account with $500 and had a 1-year installment plan. This was all in May. And then in the month of June, I took out a loan to pad my wallet because I had, my trips I had to do to San Diego. I had to get my car starter repaired. I had to get my car alternator repaired. I had to get another repair just for the freaking what's it called? For the smog check, to get the registration renewed because it's due in June 10th is when it's due. So I did all that in May and June. So then my score raised in September again. So let me start. So June, between June and I guess technically May, between May/June until July, when I had opened all these accounts and things, but was paying everything off and didn't have those loans yet, my score had raised about another 28 points. And then between June and July, when my score, I think my score dipped because of the loans that I took out, because my Self.Inc. account and my Capital One Platinum card account were current. the payments were made up to date. I wasn't necessarily even making minimum payments. I was paying the card off, and I was paying the CD account like over $100 each time. And so it was paid off. It was paid, paid down, definitely down, and paid off for the other one. Meanwhile, this whole time I've been just randomly using the extra card, just like certain places. Like if I go to a gas station, sometimes I'll use it. I don't know with that card if there's like a percentage. They give you a limit, but it's based on your credit score and your income, or your I don't know if it's your account balance or your income per month that they give you, however much percentage of what you make available for you to spend. So say for example, if they gave you $500 to spend, I'm just using an example. If they gave you $500 to spend, I don't know if you can max out that 500 or if you still need to do the same thing you would likely do with a credit card, which would be to use like 25% of it. I don't really know, because I haven't really paid attention to that card. I just kind of use it whenever. There's no real way to kind of like go over your limit, because it doesn't let you use your full bank balance anyways. So even if you max out that card, you still have money in your bank to cover it, because it goes based on your bank balance. So if your bank balance is 0, you're not going to have any balance on that card. It's not like a credit card. It's basically a debit card, and it reports to the credit bureaus. So this summer, yes, there was a dip. I do believe it's because of the loan usage, because otherwise everything else was being paid off. So when I paid everything, pretty much, kept making good standing payments, my score increased a little bit in July by like 1 or 2 points, again in August by like 1 or 2 points. But August was when I completely paid off that CD account with Self.Inc. And once I finished paying off that account in full, I got the money in September, and my score jumped another 28 points. And so over the course of a year and 3 months, I'm trying to go backwards. A year and 3 months, let's see, my credit score has probably gone up about 90. And if I didn't have that kind of summer hiccup this year, in June, and maybe that other hiccup before, whenever that was, then I probably would have gotten like a credit score score increase probably over 100. So again, it was about about 15 months, approximately, let's say 16 months, and approximately 90 points. And I didn't really do too much. I only used the extra card, the Self.Inc. CD account, and the platinum secured Capital One 360 card. And also, I guess the last point I would make is that, in addition to this, I am paying down, student loans that I have. Like, I have some bank student loans, like some private student loans. I've been paying those off over the course of the last 16 months as well. So I think it could have been over 100, points that my score was raised if I would have done zero mistakes. Like, if I wouldn't have had this kind of like stupid method I use of like taking out the loans just to make sure I have money, like, because I just think, I don't want to be out of town and not have anything, in my pocket, but I also, because I've been trying to, focus on investing as well, like not necessarily spending all my money on investing, but like, I'm very kind of serious about investing like twice a month. I prefer to keep my money in a place where it grows versus like a bank savings account, but I know it's not cost effective. Taking out those loans with the high interest rates, it doesn't really make any actual logical sense. It's just a quick fix to a potential issue. It's not even like I'm spending the money. I just have it there, like, just in case I'm gonna need it, and then I give it back with the fees and everything that I owe. Like, it definitely ends up costing way more. I'm aware that it's not smart, but it's just kind of a stupid habit I've kind of fallen into, that I don't plan to use anymore. It's just something I was like, let me just do it this way. But it's my own decision, and I'm still making money. I still have an income, so I'm not trying to do anything too drastic. I'm not taking the loans and like using them, and I should just pay it all off. That would make a lot more sense. But it's just a little comforting, just to have the money if I'm gonna have to be driving with this old car, because I can kind of feel like one of these days it's not gonna start and it's not gonna be able to get fixed, and then I'm gonna really have to just get a car. And so, that's not a smart expense, to have that money just sitting there. It's not smart. I don't recommend it. I can't recommend it to anybody. It's dumb. And if my car does die and I do have to use that money to actually buy a car, that's going to create a stronger debt situation, where it would make more sense to just pay those off and make payments on the car versus have to make payments on the loans and then payments on the car. That is stupid. It wouldn't make any sense at all. So that's kind of where I'm going next, is to kind of get rid of the debt that I have right now, as fast as possible. I don't want to be too hurried with it, because I do have to go take a work trip, so I can't really, like, I do have to take a work trip, so I can't really I don't know how to explain this. I have to take a work trip, so I can't necessarily just get rid of what I have, on the side right now. Like, it would actually just make more sense to take out some money that I have already put away in other accounts, pay off all this stuff, and then if I'm going to pad my wallet, take out another percentage of that money just to pad my wallet, because it's already my money, and then I'd have like no current debt, just no active debt right now, other than student loans. And so that would be the smartest decision for what I readily have available, or not using that money that I have through my retirement, and just don't touch it, and take my paychecks and just pay it off right away. Like, it's not a lot. It's just, I like having it there, just in case. But it would be a lot to have an expense for that amount and not have the money right there. I just, I'm not too comfortable driving this 20-year-old car anymore, considering all the repairs I've had to go through. October, then May, then June, then even after June I had other issues, and then it was like overheating right after I got it fixed this last time, and so I don't really want to deal with all that. Like, it's running good now, but also, like you guys know, I work remotely. I drive maybe once a month, about let's give it like 250 to 270 or so miles once a month out of town, usually within a 1 week to 1 weekend period. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of exposing myself with kind of like talking about the dumb stuff I do, but in addition to the stupid stuff I've done, the credit part is definitely working to my advantage. I definitely raised it. I want to make a comment about the self .inc CD account. Now, one thing I'm noticing about that account is that there's a discrepancy of about 74 points. So that account has about a 74 point difference, saying that my credit score is 74 points higher. Now, through Capital One 360, I use CreditWise. I also have an account with Mint, the app, and the credit scores through Mint and CreditWise are the exact same credit score pretty consistently all the time within the same dates. This self.inc account, on the other hand, has not shown change but 3 times. So when I first opened it in May, it showed what my credit score was, and it showed a slightly higher score than what I had showing on CreditWise. I hadn't really checked Mint until today. I don't really check it that much, because it's the same stuff that's in my CreditWise account. But periodically, whenever I'm like recording these episodes, I do check it. So I didn't really check it for a while, and it doesn't really matter. So basically, when I first opened the self CD account, it was saying that my score was about a couple points higher than what it was showing on CreditWise. And then nothing really budged. Like I mentioned, there were some things during summer of 2022 this year of my credit score kind of fluctuating because of reasons I explained previously. And this self account only showed one dip. It didn't show any of the other numbers that the CreditWise account was showing. And then this most recent update is from September 5th, which was about the time that the money that was returned to me from the CD account being paid off with the interest, that amount was deposited directly into my Capital One 360 account, and this score is about 74 points higher than the ones that show on Mint and CreditWise. It's saying that my score increased 94 points. Excuse me. And it does show in July that there was a bit of a dip. But between May and June, the score only went up like 8 points between May and June, according to this. And then between June and July, dipped about, oh my gosh, 20 points. And then as of September, rose about 93 points. And so that doesn't really add up. I mean, I think it says it's the Experian Vantage Score 3.0. That's the credit score that they're using. And so what I do like is that it's an easy app to use. It's an easy process to sign up. And I guess the payout process is simple. Now, when you do get the payout, what you do need to actually do is set up when you want the payout. That's one thing to pay attention to. So if I didn't toggle to choose that I want the payout to be in September of 2022, when I paid it off in August of 2022, it would have given me the money with the interest. Instead of September of 2022, it would have given it to me in May of 2023, the original set complete payoff date. Because like I mentioned, I paid it off way early. I'm kind of just testing this account. I don't really need a CD account. I don't really need this account. I don't really care to get their credit card or whatever. I don't really need to use it, but one thing I'm worrying about now is if I have an account like the Self.Inc card or an account like the Extra debit card, if I wish to close these accounts, is it going to affect my credit score at all? Is it going to say, hey, you had this line that was closed? Is it going to say that? Even though I don't owe anything on them, will it say that? That's what I don't know. Self.Inc doesn't, I don't know if it costs me anything every month. I mean, if I keep it open, I don't know if it's going to cost me actually per month. I have to figure that out. The Extra debit card does cost about $8 a month. So to keep it open, if I'm not using it and if it's not increasing my score, which I don't know 100% right now if it's increasing my score or not, I would so yeah, that's something that I'm kind of like, I mean, it's only $8, but it's like, why am I paying $8 if it's not doing anything? Like, the whole reason why I switched to Capital One 360 in the first place was because it's a free account. They don't give you those weird monthly charges. I think I was with US Bank before, and then I tried Citibank, and I was like, no, they charge way too much. And yeah, I was with US Bank. I liked US Bank, but I just didn't want to be getting charged. And then this account was free, and during the Rona, I kind of noticed, I was like, I don't really go to the bank. The only reason I would go into the bank was for just like random stuff, like if I needed a new debit card, or if I needed a money order. That was probably usually what I was doing, is like sometimes I'd pay my rent with a money order, because the person who collected our rent checks, a lot of times they wouldn't put the checks in like early, and I like to know like how much money I had on the spot. And so sometimes they put it in and it would clear early, or they'd ask us, hey, can you date it for like instead of, because the rent was due on the 1st, they'd be like, can you date it for like the 27th or the 28th? And I'd be like, no. And so I remember once, I believe they changed it. And I mean, that's fraudulent, but it's like, I knew it was going to clear, but I was just like, I don't want to be like wasting my checks. Like, I was running low on checks, and I was like, I don't want to waste my checks by, writing a new check, like the guy was requesting. So he did cross it out and like put my initials, which I did not approve him to do that, and I didn't date it, like he wanted it dated, because the rent was due on the 1st, and I was like, well, I wrote the check for the 1st because that's when it's due, so I'm not trying to change it. So I did kind of not really tell the truth, and I told him like the money's not going to be there until the 1st, which it was already there, but I was like, I just didn't want to do it, like I told him no, and then he was pressuring, and I was just like, well, the money's not going to be there anyways, and then he changed it anyways, and then it went through anyways. But I was like, okay, just to avoid that kind of tampering and just like somebody acting like that, I was like, well, with the money order, it's already set in stone. Take the money order, and I have the receipts too, and so nobody can really like say, oh, you didn't pay or whatever. Like, I had the receipts, and so I would always keep the receipts until he confirmed that the rent was paid in full for that month. Just little stupid stuff like that. So I mean, that kind of stuff gets annoying, but it's like, it wasn't like all the time, but yeah, like a lot of this journey really has been, managing stress, which is maybe weird to say, but when I started hearing Dave Ramsey saying, like that, how did he say, like, how debt is a large percentage an emotional problem, and then a small percentage of it really is just math. Now, that's not to discredit people or to say that like some people really don't make enough to meet their needs, to pay the rent, to pay their income, to pay their bills. Some people really don't make enough. That is a reality, but in my case, it's like I was making enough considering that I was living with people, so my rent was so low. On paper, I made enough, and then when I stopped doing all the side hustles and stuff, I kind of didn't really have a lot of extra wiggle room there to be playing around as much as I was, and not focused as much as I wasn't. I didn't really have a lot of power to be doing that, but I was just like negligent, just because I was too overwhelmed with things in my life to really sit down and manage everything else. And so that's kind of what I noticed. That's definitely what I came to terms with, was that I have to get this under control, because the math adds up. So I should be having this issue, and like I mentioned, there's been like a 16-month journey of just trying to get this figured out, and it's definitely been a challenge, but it's also been worth it, to learn things. I'm definitely learning, I'm definitely tweaking things, seeing what happens, but it is a little scary to be like, okay, like the score is going up, and then like the times when I saw it go down, I was like, ooh, that wasn't really expected. So it can go down so fast, but then it can also go up so fast. And so I'm noticing the power of, using, credit lines and debt to be able to raise the score. But at the same time, it's risky, like my life isn't like a lot of people's lives. I have ability to not have to, I don't have kids, I don't have a spouse, I don't have a mortgage. I'm pretty free as far as like obligations, if that makes sense. Like, I have a job that's so demanding that all I really do is work at my job, and then everything else, mostly on either side, is either hobbies or self-care. Like, I don't, and socializing and like connecting with people, but outside of those things, I don't really have a whole lot of, you know, spending that I do. Like, the only spending I really do is when I'm doing social stuff or when I'm going out of town for work. And then otherwise, I just spend on like food for the most part and stuff related to like health. So like food, and snowboarding, which it's a health thing for me. It's a mental health and physical health thing for me. Pretty much just food, snowboarding, and then mingling with friends and stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of getting everything kind of under control more, and I'm happy it's working. I just wanted to share more about the journey of it all because you guys could probably tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm having some rocky patches, and then definitely making a lot of changes to try to make my life better. And I have kind of stopped talking about the side hustles because I can't really do every single thing all at once. Like, other than podcasting, I don't really have any other kind of side hustles. I just podcast. And so that's all I do at the moment. Some blogging, and very, very rarely vlogging at all, but some blogging. And then otherwise just, podcasting. So, and I guess I would say too, I do track like the interest on the accounts that I have. I'm tracking my investments. Right now, the market is just not in a good place, but in a way that kind of helps with buying, because I don't stop buying. So it is kind of helping because everything is a lot more affordable, but also because of inflation, we're all like needing more of our money and can't really be affording to just like invest it so much. And I know it's not really recommended by like Dave Ramsey's plan to be spending when you have any form of debt. To be investing when you have any form of debt. But I'm kind of like, my investments are mostly through my retirement account anyways. I think just about all the other investments I had with like crypto and everything, I cashed it out and put that money into my, index funds, dividends, mutual funds, REITs, and yeah, other than this CD account, which was a very, 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 very short-term investment, I don't really have other investments anymore. Like, I have like such a small amount of crypto. It's not even like I don't even know how much it is. It's got to be under $100. It's not a lot of money at all. Because I don't really know crypto as well, and I kind of freaked out, honestly. I was like, if this really does go under, I don't really want to be sitting here, when I could have just, like, I'm willing to not make money on it and go to something that I know is kind of having like a history behind it, more so of what people can predict more. So that's just my own personal, choice. But yeah, so I've been recording on here, kind of rambling a little longer than I thought I would be, but I really hope this is helpful. I'm trying to track this. It is kind of personal. I don't really want to give like my exact like credit scores and stuff, but like I'm being as honest with it as I can, within my comfort zone. I'm not trying to make myself look all like, oh, like I'm not doing anything stupid. Like, I am. Like, the loans are a stupid thing to do. Keeping a 20-year-old car, maybe it's not the best idea when you have to be driving, like I said, like a little under 300 miles in a month during like a weekend period of time. Some of the stuff I'm doing isn't really good. It's not perfect, but I'm kind of focused on certain other stuff. Like I feel like I'm at least focused on something these days. And versus where I was like before 2020, when I had side hustles and everything, I kind of wasn't really tracking the finances because I could make money when I wanted to. Honestly, I was just like, oh, I want to go to this event, so I'm going to make this much money, and I would just make that much money, and that was the end of that. Like I could just make however much I wanted, within reason. Like it was smaller amounts because I was doing smaller amount stuff. It wasn't completely passive, and so I did have like energy and time limitations. Like I couldn't just like sit there and be like, I need the money to roll in. Like I had to actually like actively like sell stuff and like do things and like show up places and be there and make like transactions and stuff. Like I wasn't just like sitting back watching money come in, but I was pretty strategic with it. But mostly it was just supporting my partying, in all honesty. Like it was supporting just kind of having a good time on a very, very limited income, and my expenses living with other people kept my expenses low. And like I mentioned, I didn't really have credit cards or anything like that, other than like a $300 card. I don't remember when I got that one, but that must have been like, it was before 2020. I know that. It's probably like 2018 or something like that. So yeah, so with that, I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for listening.